I'm back and you can only imagine what video I'm about to make. We're talking about the Game Awards. So obviously I've spoken about this in the past. I talked about it when I beat Expedition. We've talked about it on the AFK podcast a bunch, and God forbid you guys find any of my social media. I have commented on a few things about it there. And lo and behold, I thought I wouldn't have to make this video, but genuinely it's seeing all this shit talking about things. And I just want to go talk about my thoughts on it because Jesus Christ. I see why people got so pissed off with the Baldur's Gate 3 and Astrobot slander like these past few years because people are insufferable on the internet. So yes, Expedition 33 won Game of the Year. I completely believe I deserved it. I've been saying it since I beat that game. I put that video out ages ago. Second credits rolled, I thought, this is Game of the Year. It also won 9 other awards, which is absolutely incredible and insane at the same time. So let's just go through them. Game of the Year, incredibly strong list of contenders, but by far Expedition deserved it the most in my opinion. As I think the ones it was between were Silksong, Hades 2, and Expedition 33. No discredit to Kingdom Come, Bonanza, and Death Stranding, but those three were absolutely spectacular in what they did, and they did everything incredibly well. The reason I think Expedition deserved it over the other two was because those two were already established IPs. They knew their formula, they had all the feedback from their first iteration of the game to improve it. Expedition came in out of nowhere, a first time game, and they managed to hit all the checkboxes. No first game, no feedback to reflect on. The game was just incredible from the get go, which is why I believe it deserved Game of the Year. Not to mention all the incredible other aspects, such as its dev team, the story, how they managed to get through it, and overall, just everything is incredible quality, and I absolutely love it. Game direction, for the same reason. All the other competitors are sequels or Split Fiction's made by a studio which has already had time, though I do think that that was a very close contender, Split Fiction. They did some really good gameplay things in there. I've not played it myself personally, but I've seen Nathan and Isaac playing it. I've seen a bunch of shit on YouTube, Instagram. It looks really, really incredible. Those two were the contenders, but again, Expedition for the same reason. Out of nowhere, did everything perfectly on the first try. Narrative could have gone to any of these, though I think Yote is kind of another PlayStation game working on the exact same formula. I think people are starting to get sick of the whole revenge plotline thing. Death Stranding 2, I've not seen anything because I've not played the first game. From what I've heard, while the gameplay is better than the first, the narrative is worse than the first one. So Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one I have played, and I wasn't really into it. It wasn't my thing. I think these games are very much aimed at a smaller niche than most, and while it does things incredible, it just didn't hook me with anything. Silent Hill F, I have only heard good things about, but I think some people haven't picked it up just because of how different it looks to the traditional Silent Hill game, so maybe that's why. Art direction. This one is really doing numbers on the internet because of Expedition being a 3D game and Silksong Hades being a 2D game. So people think, well, hand drawn. That's clearly art, right? That's traditional art. I think people need to realize that's an incredible oversimplification and massively discredits so many incredible things. Let's go over what this award is for. Outstanding creative and or technical achievements in artistic design and animation. All of these games qualify for this. All of them are incredible in their own right. Just because something isn't 2D doesn't mean that love, care, and passion were put into these, and that is something that people massively overlook and just assume that 3D isn't because it's not 2D. It doesn't look like a painting on your wall. Expedition could very well be a painting on. I would happily hang it above my desk with my other art. That game is gorgeous, so people discrediting it just because it's a 3D game made on Unreal Engine is some of the most bullshit I've ever seen. Death Stranding 2 looks absolutely incredible. Of course, it's not my favourite because super hyper-realism isn't what I prefer in games. It's great, don't get me wrong, when something looks realistic and can immerse me. And there are a lot of really cool artistic things. However, I think it is still too similar to its first game for me to vote for it. Again, this is all due to the fact I think that Expedition deserves it over the others, because all of its competition have been pretty much sequels aside from a few other games. Ghost of Yotei still looks just as gorgeous as Ghost of Tsushima, and the new technology of consoles has only made it look even better. Hades 2, again, looks just as incredible as the first game, same with Silksong. Expedition is a brand new game, and it looks fucking incredible, blending so many different architectures and designs from both, like, mainly French background, obviously, because it's based in a French universe. People are just completely discrediting that incredible blend and balance and combination of these different architectural types and designs because it's not 2D. That's one that really pissed me off with seeing on the internet. So, yeah, I still think it completely deserves that award. Honestly, a nomination here alone is an incredible feat, considering just how stacked this year has been for gaming. We've had some incredible titles, so just seeing the name on the nominations list is an achievement within itself. Best score in music, obviously, was going to go to Expedition. Like, that soundtrack is a once in a decade experience. No disrespect to all these other composers and artists, like, they've also done incredible jobs. Like, I've played 2 of these games and listened to 4 of their soundtracks out of all these. The only one I haven't heard much of was Hades 2, but Ghost of Yotei's I've heard and Death Stranding 2's I've heard. They're all incredible, but Expedition 33's was just something else. I love just how many different styles of music there are. The mixing in them is fucking awesome, and the emotions this soundtrack has evoked for me was fucking incredible. Audio design, this is one I didn't vote for Expedition on, and the one I voted for also won. So, Battlefield 6, Battlefield's audio design has always been really incredible and immersive. That's why I voted for it. Again, though, all games here, I think it was mainly between Battlefield 6 and Silent Hill F. Those 2 games do an incredible job with the audio for immersion and creating an atmosphere. Not to say that the others don't do an incredible job. Death Stranding 2's is also really good. Expeditions really like nails that satisfying feeling in combat, and also uses sound to really set an atmosphere well. Ghost of Yotei, that's the one I can't comment. I'm trying to. It does a good job. Don't get me wrong. I don't have any standout things in my head like I do the others. Best performance. While this was an egregious nominations list due to the fact Expedition got nominated 3 times, people are really taken away from the fact that Jen English won it just because there are 3 nominations for Expedition here. I think even if it was just 1 or 2, like, Jen was going to be the obvious nomination, with Ben Starr incredibly close second. Charlie Cox isn't around long enough, really, for me to think that he deserves a nomination. Don't get me wrong, in that, like, I think he has an hour worth of voice lines. And don't get me wrong, in that hour, he does an incredible job of getting you attached to his character. But I don't think he should have been on this list. I think that was just because it's a celebrity which might bring people outside the gaming community to view the show. Troy Baker did an incredible job as Indiana Jones. Erika Ishii, also an incredible job as Atsu. And Kanatsu Kato was an incredibly close contender. But my L in Expedition, Jennifer English went completely off with it, and I fucking love that performance. People need to stop taking away from that achievement. Games for Impact's one I can't really comment on because I haven't played any of these games. I have seen the South of Midnight trailer from the Xbox showcase, and it did look cool, so that's the one I voted for just because I wasn't aware of the other ones, but yeah, I can't comment on that one. These 2 I don't think Expedition should have won. Indie game and debut indie game, because for me personally, Expedition doesn't qualify in my category of indie. But this is also where the complexity comes in because of just how broad and varied the industry has become. It's difficult now to pinpoint where we draw the line at indie, AA, AAA. I still think, in my personal opinion, Expedition is a AA game. The amount of people working on it and outsourced to, the amount of support from a publisher they got, I still think it qualifies as a AA, not an indie. And personally, my indie game of the year would have been Silksong, though I did absolutely adore Absalom. And debut indie game, I would have loved to give to Dispatch because that game was also incredible. I don't know too much about the development, but I'm fairly certain it is an indie game. So yeah, those two I think Expedition shouldn't have won, which would bring it to 7 nominations, which would have put it in a tie with Last of Us Part 2 for most nominations received. But even then, that would have still been an incredible thing to share that record as a first entry in a game. Best ongoing game and best community support, these two I'm completely fine with. No Man's Sky as an ongoing game is an incredible story of redemption and going above and beyond to redeem it. They still give us so many like amazing free expansions in the game. That one very much deserved to win. Although I did vote Helldivers for this because of, well, this year on Helldivers has been, while it's been mixed, there's been some really cool things, especially that Super Earth Invasion. That is a standout event in a game for me. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't vote this one either. I voted for No Man's Sky here, just because I didn't really know if there was much Baldur's Gate 3 like action going on. Evidently there must have been because they won it, so fair play. I am going to buy this game this year, and I really want to play it, and I'm so looking forward to it. Mobile game and AR VR. I don't play new VR titles, and mobile gaming is just not my thing, so I can't comment. Action game, Hades 2, definitely deserving of it. I've only played Battlefield 6 and obviously Doom Dark Ages. I made a whole rant video on the PC performance. That was abysmal, but the game was alright. It just didn't feel as good as I expected a Doom game to be, especially after the bad Eternal set. Action adventure, Silk Song won this one. Again, incredible job. It's the only one of those titles I've played, so I obviously voted for it. All of them were strong contenders though. RPG. This is one where I think people are losing the definition of RPG. So obviously it is a role play game. I really want people to think on what role play games are at their core. Character customization, progression, and sometimes massive multiplayer, but there's no massive multiplayer titles. I think Monster Hunter is an MMORPG. And for some reason, people think that choice-based narrative is the fundamental of an RPG. That's the only argument I've seen online for people talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 being the better RPG. I just want to say, people saying that Expedition isn't a RPG is the stupidest fucking thing ever, because it's not. An RPG isn't a choice-based narrative game. If that was the case, Detroit Become Human is one of the greatest RPGs in the gaming industry, because that game has like 86 different endings that you can result in based on your choices. Expedition does all these things perfectly. Character customization is there. Cosmetically, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you can put them into any role. They can play any role in a role-playing game. That is how varied the customization for your kit and build is, which is fundamentally what an RPG has always been. Since the first RPGs, that has been how role-play games have been built, which is why I think that this easily deserved the title for that. On to the next one, best fighting game. Can't comment, I don't play those games. Family game, I've played 2 of these. Obviously I went to the Nintendo event and played Bonanza and Mario Kart World, and since I have played Mario Kart World while I've been visiting friends' houses, I voted for LEGO Voyages just because that looks really fun and relaxing, and that is on my wish list. I know I've kind of gone back on what I was saying. I just thought it'd be funny. I knew Mario Kart World was going to win, but I wanted to show my support for Annapurna. They make some really cool, will publish some really cool titles. Best Sim Strategy, didn't win it, but I voted Evolution 3. Not going to get too much into that. Obviously, Final Fantasy Tactics won. Final Fantasy games are incredibly beloved, and this game looks like it did a really good job. Sports racing, I don't care about. Multiplayer, I voted for Peak because that was my favourite multiplayer title of this year. Arc Raiders won it, obviously, because that game kind of took multiplayer gaming by storm. It looks alright. I'm not too much of a fan of the AI elements in it. I believe that there's like AI voice acting or something. I'm not fond of that, even if people did give permission. AI still cannot replicate what makes voice acting incredible, which is why I'm not fond of that part, but all the other multiplayer aspects of it, the proximity chat and how it works, have made some really cool moments on the internet, and I think that definitely deserved it. Though again, all of these, Split Fiction is a co-op game and that is incredible, and the gameplay was really good in that. Peak is just such a fun time. People call it Friend Slot, but hey, Friend Slot made it to the Game Awards, so yeah. Elden Ring Night Rain, while it is an asset flip, still had some quite fun concepts in the gameplay and how they kind of changed it from the traditional Souls games. So that was cool. And Battlefield 6 is the best Battlefield we've had in years, and it really does feel like I'm playing Battlefield 4 again whenever I've played it. Accessibility, only one I can comment on. Dark Ages, it won. We move on. That has some really cool difficulty control. Best adaptation is the biggest piece of dog shit I've ever seen. Last of Us Season 2 won that, and that is one of the worst shows. If you've watched AFK Podcast, we've spoken about it. It's a terrible adaptation, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but Bella Ramsey's acting in it was not good. I'm just going to put it bluntly. Her acting was not good this season. I liked her in Season 1. Season 2, she just did not hit the mark. The fact that Sonic 3 is not on there is abysmal because it does qualify. It is within the window. And they just didn't nominate it because they knew it would be a fucking clean sweep. Out of all of these, I think it was between a Minecraft movie and Devil May Cry. I know Devil May Cry has some bigger like character assassination with Lady. I think Dante's fine with it before all the people start complaining about him. That is one way I would interpret a younger Dante, and I think the voice actor, he voices Nero in the games. Yeah, he takes up the role of Dante in the animated series. I think he does a fantastic job, and he just feels like Dante. He is Dante, and the only characters I can complain about are Lady being written like a has-been character, swearing every like fucking 5 minutes, which I just did. God damn it! The antagonist, the rabbit, he's really good up until like the final few episodes. Then he just becomes really generic again, which is a shame. They kind of change what demons are. They kind of humanize demons when demons for all time have kind of been always something that people have been posed as an opposite. They are the incarnation of the worst parts of humanity, and that's what they are in the games. So the Minecraft movie was just fun bad, but it would have been so fucking funny if it won. And I still prefer it to The Last of Us Part 2, so that would have been easy, happy choice. Anti-Pit game, GTA 6 won it again, are we surprised? I don't think it should have been nominated again after it won it before. I think they should have let another game be anticipated. Because honestly, none of us in the podcast actually voted for that, I'm fairly sure. I think I voted for Witcher. Nathan voted for either First Light or Resident Evil, and I have no idea what Isaac voted because he has been kind of off the radar. Player's Voice, Wuthering Waves won. I would have loved to see like Dispatch or Expedition or Silksong win. And then the other stuff I'm not going to talk about because I don't watch esports and Content Creator of the Year, Most Critical. I'm fine with that. So yes, that's Game Awards. I've done my little rant. Oh god, we're about 20 minutes now. Jesus Christ. I think that this was a mostly fine Game Awards. Some of the announcements weren't that great. I already knew some of the big ones because I predicted the Divinity statue. I talked about it to a lecturer with one of my lecturers, and we determined it might be that. And the Resident Evil Leon thing had been leaked by Sony, so Capcom should definitely try and sue for that because they've spoiled it twice now. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening to my rant. Complain in the comments, I'm not going to read it. I'm just back here because I want to make a video on it. And yeah, see ya. Oh yeah, also podcast episode this week. We are going to try and make one again. We've been like terrible at this for 3 weeks now. The last episode we did was a kind of short episode. Actually, no, it wasn't short. We ended up yapping for a while on that one. So yeah, see ya.